Hello everybody, welcome to the Daily Brick. My name is Nick, and today we are reviewing set number 6866. Very short number today, and that is because it comes straight from the 2012 line of original LEGO Marvel superheroes. This set is promptly named Wolverine's Chopper Showdown. This is definitely an interesting set right off the bat because of its name, and we're going to talk about why in the world this is named Wolverine's Chopper Showdown when it's clearly Deadpool's Chopper. I don't know why they did that. LEGO picked some funky names. That's the only thing we got to say about it for now. I thought it was a funny detail that I definitely did want to point out, so that is really funny to see. There are a lot of details jam-packed into this pretty good build for a helicopter, especially for 2012. I think that this helicopter came out really well. I love the tires on the bottom, I love the propellers, and I love the cockpit and the back space that it has. I think that it has so much more room than modern day sets have nowadays, and this is just really impressive. I don't usually see a lot of vehicles that have this much space on the inside. Even some of the dual propeller helicopters that we see, especially the one for Black Widow, you don't get this much interior space. So to get this much, and you can honestly fit, if you really wanted to, probably 4 minifigs in here. You could probably jam 2 into the back, 1 into like the center middle area, and then 1 into the cockpit. So yeah, there's a lot of different opportunities that you have to put your own figs in here if you wanted. I will say, however, this set does have one glaring problem. We will get to that in a little bit, just because I do want to discuss the use of the dark red, because that is something that we have talked about before on the channel, but pretty lightly, so I did want to talk about it more. We're going to go into the build first, and then we will take a look at the individual minifigs. Starting off with Deadpool's Chopper, we actually do have these 2 rotating little flick fire missiles back here. These are just adorned with some of these Technic flick fire missiles, as well as some silver painted. They're kind of like the matte silver cone piece, so that's definitely interesting. On the left side of the wing, you can actually see that there is another katana there, and that is because the Deadpool, the minifig, is actually supposed to have those katanas that he has either go into the back satchel that he has, or they just clip right onto the sides of the wings. And I like that little detail that you can add the minifig accessories into the build to make it look a little bit cooler. I think that is pretty awesome, and it looks like the character is supposed to have, you know, the weapons are sort of part of the chopper, and that's pretty cool. So I do really like that. Unfortunately, Deadpool would have to go from one side to the other just to get both katanas, but good thing I'm not going to usually put the katanas on here, just so that way you can see him with his katanas, 2 of his most iconic weapons. We will talk about the minifigs later. I'm getting ahead of myself. There are 2 red lights right down here at the front. The cockpit does just kind of open just like this, and it is just attached by some L-shaped plates. Unfortunately, the way that the windscreen is made, it is made with almost like a 2x4 variation on the bottom, so you can kind of see it there, where you can see that it's like a 2x4 spread of the studs, so it does kind of clip onto these angled plates right here pretty well. The clutch power is pretty good, so there are gonna come off every once in a while when you are taking it off, but there is enough space to obviously just put a minifig in there, so I will actually take this whole thing off. You can also just take just this hood piece off. It does make it a little bit easier if you take the hood and the windscreen off to get a minifig in. I am gonna take Deadpool's accessories off of him, so that way I can actually take the Deadpool minifig and show you exactly how he goes in there. He just sort of sits in a 2x2 space. There is a 1x2 tile right there in the front that you can kind of see. I'll zoom in a little bit, and Deadpool is just working the helicopter via those controls. That is a very common 1x2 printed piece. Nothing special there. Nothing really special about this build. You could build this out of your own pieces. It's really not the build that makes this set expensive. It really is the figs. The helicopter for the propeller up here, it is a little wobbly, so it's not that secure, and that's just because it is one of these older propeller pieces. It's not used a whole lot these days, so it is definitely a piece that was modified upon, and I think that they have done a lot better in recent years with helicopter tops. And yeah, unfortunately, you can see when you try to spin it there, it just kind of gets stuck and it starts to wobble a little bit. That might be a building mistake. That might be on me. I'm not entirely sure what the error is, but all it is attached by one of these 2x2 with the Technic pin sticking out of the top, so there really shouldn't be that much of a issue when it spins, but every single time I do that, it does do that. On the tail fin, you do actually have two smaller size propellers, so you've got two, one on the left, one on the right there, both right there. The tail fin is asymmetrical, so you do have a tile over here while you have the actual fin on the right-hand side, and that just has a little light on the back of it. There are these two more flaps right down here near the base of the tires, so that is really kind of the only interesting parts about this plane. It's really not that difficult of a build. Like I said, you could totally build this out of your own pieces and totally get away with it, and no one would know the difference unless you didn't have the figs. Yeah, that's kind of the only thing about the helicopter. There's not a whole lot. I don't want to flick the flick fire missiles because, as we all know, I will lose them, so we're just going to keep them right there. Before I get to the figs, the Wolverine does actually come with these really nicely molded motorcycles. I love this. I think that this is probably my favorite motorcycle mold. I really like it in the dark red. At one point, there is a Marvel set that comes with a dark red variation of this, and it has a little like dark gray stripe that goes along the fender for the tire, and I absolutely love that, especially with the printing on it. It just looks so good. But this one is just plain light bluish gray, so I do still really enjoy this mold. Next up, we have Wolverine himself. We do have the namesake character for the set. I do really enjoy this version of Wolverine. I do wish that he did have a mask. We didn't get one of those for a little while later. I'm pretty sure we got one down the line, maybe 2014, 2015 timeline kind of era. Not entirely sure. I will have to look that up, and maybe I'll put it on screen. I don't know. But there are some really good details on this fig. We're going to start at the legs, and I'm actually going to turn these spindle off so that way you guys can see that a little bit better. On the front of the legs, you do actually have these two lines that run very nicely from the legs into the torso, and you can see that they are in the dark blue. His legs are in the medium or bright yellow, I believe. So his legs and torso are both in that bright light orange color, which I did not know existed all the way back in 2012, so that is really cool. On the belt section, he does have that little X-Men symbol. I absolutely love that. And you can see that he has the printed abs and different muscles going on. He also does have pretty plain arms. There's no printing on those, but he usually is sporting a sleeveless look, so this makes sense for Wolverine. His face print is perfect. It not only looks like Hugh Jackman, but also looks just like Wolverine. This Wolverine is not based on Hugh Jackman, but they did base his likeness on Wolverine's likeness for a long time after all the X-Men movies came out, and everyone loved Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. But the face print on this side especially is fantastic, and that hair print, that hair mold is so good. It looks just like a comic Wolverine, and it just, I wish they never changed it. I understand why they did, but I wish they never changed it. This looks so good. It looks all flared out to the sides. It's supposed to be overgrown and bushy. It's perfect for Wolverine. And let me actually show you the other side right there. He has more of a tame face, and we're actually going to look at the back of the torso as well. I'm actually going to put his hair back on so you can sort of get an image what it looks like with the hair. The back of the torso has his mask, but it's off of his head, so it does have that mask printing right there on the back, and I do really appreciate that detail was included. Next up, we do have the Mark with the Mouth himself. Trust me, I did email Ryan Reynolds to do this video. He did not respond, nor will he ever. But hopefully one day he will see this video. Who knows? I would absolutely love to get another Deadpool minifigure, but I have a feeling, and so does everyone else, that we will literally never get a Deadpool ever again. And that is due to those movies and also just his vulgar nature in not only those films, but in the comics. And they've really ramped up Deadpool to be this very grotesque character that you don't see in modern media other than things that are rated R. And I get it. I understand why Lego is not going to make another one of these. It's very unfortunate for anybody who would like a Deadpool. I am fortunate enough to have one of these figs already, so it really does suck to hear when people don't have one and they really want one. But again, I understand why Lego doesn't want to make another one, just with the association with how vulgar he is in most of his material. So I get it. I understand why they haven't done that. We will talk about the actual details of the minifig. He does not have any arm printing, so we can just skip the arms altogether. But down on the legs, he does have two bullet pouches. I'm actually going to move him to the right a little bit so you can see him a little bit better. Two little bullet pouches down there, kind of towards the knee, and then he also has these black stripes that are on the top of the leg as well as onto the hip, and then you can see that those lines translate pretty well into the black into the rest of his suit. I really like this design. He also has the belt with the little pouches. The belt has the Deadpool symbol on it. That is fantastic, and the face print is perfect. There's nothing more that we could have asked for this fig. For 2012, this fig is absolutely amazing. I feel like this is just almost, this is like peak Marvel design. I feel like it checks all the boxes and avoids the over-design problem with a lot of Marvel minifigures nowadays. A lot of people do complain about that, and I think that this is just a great way to avoid that. This is just such a good example to look at for a fig, and yeah, he's just fantastic all around. He does come with multiple accessories. I did only put the one katana on the back. I will put the other one on so you can see he does look a little bit more iconic when you have both katanas in there. So you can do this just like that, and look at that. That is the Deadpool we all know and love. He's got the dual katanas and the gun. Usually he does have two of these guns. This is just the Lego variation of a gun. This is one of the ones that they custom made for the superheroes line, or maybe agents. Maybe that's when that first came out. Not entirely sure. I know Galaxy Squad definitely used them pretty heavily, but yeah, not important. The minifig does also have back printing, not on the head, so I am going to have to remove Deadpool's head. It's okay. He's still alive. He can regenerate. We're actually just going to turn him around so you can see. He just got some back muscle printing, and also that belt continues all the way around the back with an extra 6 pouches, so that is pretty cool. Last but certainly not least, we do have Magneto. Magneto is also one of these figs that just are almost perfect in design. I love everything about him. The purple cape is definitely a highlight, as well as his helmet. I think those are really cool details. The purple cape, though, is in that starchy material. It is one of the rarest colors, I'm pretty sure, at least other than brown, because I know brown is used in a lot of Jedi. However, people still want that cape. So I'm pretty sure this purple is probably one of the hardest ones to find just out in the wild. The legs are plain. Unfortunately, there is no leg printing, but I don't really think Magneto needs that. I'm actually going to turn this off so you guys can see just the front for a moment. And yeah, this fig does have some really good designs. I like the musculature as well as that collar in the purple, and he's got the 3 little silver dots. I like that. They're like little bolts. And then the helmet, again, is just really, really good. The printing on that is fantastic. I think that is so good. And up top, you can see he's got the like little Magneto crest. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I think it's more like an antenna almost, the way, like, you know, with the magnetic fields to feel metal. I could just be jabbering on, but I'm not entirely sure. I have not read any of the X-Men comics, and I have seen the movies, but not recently enough to jog my memory, and I really need to before we watch Doomsday, so very excited about that. However, completely off track. He does have 2 face prints, one with this grimace on his face, and then on the other side, you take that helmet off. He also does have these bushy eyebrows and just sort of a tame, not even a smile, kind of a smile, like kind of a weird, just tame meh face. He also does stand on this 2x2 circular plate just to give off as he's flying onto a piece of metal, and I do like that detail quite a bit. So that concludes the minifigs, and I did want to talk about this set for just one more second because I didn't get to talk about it when I was just looking at the helicopter on its own. The main issue being the brittle dark red in this set, and let me tell you, there's a lot of it. Brittle dark red, if you don't know, is something that is kind of talked about a lot in the LEGO community, but it is more commonly known as brittle brown. And there's an entire backstory to all of that nonsense that you've probably heard before. Brittle brown is the product of a very strange time in LEGO in which a lot of brown pieces were seemingly breaking on their own and or breaking at even the slightest touch. It was something that really affected a lot of LEGO sets and still does to this day. If you're buying sets in between the years of, I'm pretty sure, 2010 and 2019, you can still find this type of material in a lot of different sets. It's very unfortunate. It's something that is going to happen. It's most prominent. I feel like it's mostly talked about in the Ewok Village and the Rancor Pit, just because a lot of those colors are brown in those sets, especially the Ewok Village. But the Rancor Pit, especially the Rancor, each finger is so brittle that those fingers go for at least $20 a piece, which is just ridiculous and very unfortunate. But that is kind of the issue with this set as well. More than brittle brown exists. Also dark red, dark green, dark blue, and dark brown. There's a lot of different colors that do unfortunately fall victim to this very annoying defect in LEGO's manufacturing process. They did eventually fix it. They kind of realized that the plastic was not holding up as much as the other colors, and it was weird. It was just those colors, and everyone thinks that it might have just been the type of plastic that was being used, and it has to be. So to finally see a set that is almost like a year one kind of victim of this, it's definitely interesting. I haven't really moved this thing around a whole lot. I am going to certify it for the shop, so I am a little nervous, but this is definitely something that I would rather see stay together, and a lot of people do have these in their collections, either completely shattered with all of the red pieces actually broken, or they have it still together the way that we got this one, because it's just so difficult to keep them from breaking if you try to take them apart. So yeah, that is actually going to be all for now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.